Hello everyone, today we will open up another Doctor Who Commander deck for Magic. And this one contains the Doctors 12 and 13, and this is Paradox Power. So these are the more recent Doctors of recent years. These are the ones that I really don't know, I haven't seen them at all. But yeah, this is a green, blue and red deck. So let's take a look and see what we get. Let's open it up the right way. I keep messing this one up. All right. There we go. So what do we get? We get a deck box here. We get the deck itself. And we get a die. And a box with some punch-out counters here. Oh, we have a lot of the counters. Nice. A live wheel, a booklet of how to play the deck. The planner die, because this is still planar chaos. And of course, the envelope with a Doctor Who sample pack for the collector booster. And of course, the Plane Chase cards. Now let's go over the Plane Chase cards first. I know, I never do that, but this time I will. Right, so we start off here with the Doctor's Childhood Barn. It's a plane on Gallifrey, and creatures enter the battlefield tapped. Oh. And when chaos ensues for each opponent, choose up to one target non-land permanent that opponent controls. Untap those permanents, they phase out. They can't phase in for as long as the Doctor's Childhood Barn remains face up. When a player planeswalks, those permanents phase in. Let's tidy it a little bit up before I just throw the cards on here. There we go. Right, next up we have the Storm Cage Containment Facility on an unknown planet. Each creature card in your graveyard has escape. The escape cost is equal to the card's mana cost plus exile 3 other cards from your graveyard. Then whenever chaos ensues, detain target creature an opponent controls. The Drum Mining Facility on Earth. Whenever you roll the planner die, creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain haste until end of turn. Okay. And then when chaos ensues, end the turn. Oh, wow. Singing Towers of Darillium, on the plane of Darillium. Each non-land card in your hand without Foretell has Foretell. Its Foretell cost is equal to its mana cost reduced by 2. And then whenever chaos ensues, you may cast a foretold card you own from exile without paying its mana cost this turn. Then we have a phenomenon, fixed point in time. When you encounter fixed point in time until your next turn, if a player would planeswalk as a result of rolling a planar die, chaos ensues instead. Oh dear, that's nasty. Besieged Viking Village. It's a earth plane. Cool. All creatures have Boast. That means for 1, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. And then whenever chaos ensues, put an indestructible counter on target creature you control that attacked this turn. Then we have the North Pole Research Base on Earth. And it is at the beginning of your upkeep, target opponent draws a card and creates a treasure token. Then whenever chaos ensues, create a 2/2 white alien creature token. When you do, tap target non-token creature an opponent controls and put a stun counter on it. Next up, Temple of Atropos. It's a plain time. At the beginning of your post-combat main phase, there's an additional beginning phase after this phase. What? Okay, so let's untap, upkeep, and draw. Wow. Chaos. When chaos ensues, reverse the game's turn order. Then planeswalk. Oh, that's interesting. And then we have the Kerblam Warehouse. It's a plane, Kandoka. Whenever one or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, create a treasure token. And then Chaos. When chaos ensues until your next turn, non-creature artifacts you control gain tap. Sacrifice the artifact, flip a coin. If you win the flip, This artifact deals 3 damage to any target. And lastly, we have the dining car. But it says plain spacecraft. It really looks like a wagon, a train car from the Orient Express. When you planeswalk to the dining car, each player creates a food token. Then it has 66 seconds, and that means at the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice a creature with the least toughness among creatures you control. Then investigate. And then when chaos ensues, activated abilities of artifact tokens you control cost 2 less to activate this turn. So there you have it. We have all the silliness out of the way. Let's get to the deck. And there's probably a card in here that focuses on plane chase. But let's take a look at the commander first. It is a Simic color commander. For 3 mana we have a 2/2. The 13th Doctor with Paradox. Whenever you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. And Team TARDIS, at the beginning of your end step, untap each creature you control with a counter on it. Then we have some tokens here. We have a human token with Ward 2. Fish token. Here another fish. We have a beast token. We have a clue token. A copy token. A food token. Another copy. Treasure token. Alien warrior. Then we have an alien. And what kind of alien is this? It's a weird alien. Right, so we have these. Okay, these are all familiar. And then on the other side here. Oh, we have Osgood, Operation Double. And an alien rhino. Right. So that's it for the tokens. We have seen the Doctor already. And then her companion is red, and that is Yasmin Khan, which has an ability tap. Exile the top card of your library until your next end step. You may play it. Nice, very interesting. All right, we have a Psychic Paper for 2. It's an equipment, equip 2. As Psychic Paper becomes attached to a creature, choose a creature card name and a creature type. Equipped creature has Ward 1. It can be blocked, and its name and creature type are that of the chosen names. The TARDIS for 2. It's a flying vehicle with crew 2. It's a 2/4, and whenever TARDIS attacks, if you control a Time Lord, the next spell you cast this turn has Cascade, and you may planeswalk. Very nasty card. I played with the other deck, and this card is busted. They can't get rid of it. Sonic Screwdriver for 3. It's an artifact that taps for 1 mana of any color. For 1 and tap it untaps another target artifact. For 2 and tap scry 1. For 3 and tap target creature can be blocked this turn. Then we start the TARDIS. It's for 2 mana sorcery. Survey 2. Then draw a card. You may planeswalk. And it has Jumpstart. Surge of Brilliance for 2. It has Paradox. Draw a card for each spell you've cast this turn from anywhere other than your hand. And that's Foretell 2. Iraxa, the Empress of Mars. For 4, it's a 5/4 trample battlecry. With Paradox, whenever you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, create a 2/2 red alien warrior creature token. Memory Worm for 2, it's a 1/1 with Paradox. Whenever you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, Memory Worm deals 2 damage to target player. That player discards a card, then draws a card. Put a +1/+1 counter on Memory Worm. Then we have a Decaying Time Loop. For 4, it's an instant. Discard all the cards in your hand, then draw that many cards. And it has Retrace. That's really cool. Thejarian Witness. For 2, it's a 0/4 flash. And it has Bear Witness. Whenever another creature dies, if it was attacking or blocking alone, exile it and investigate. Truth or Consequences. For 4, it's a sorcery with Secret Council. Each player secretly votes for truth or consequences. Then those votes are revealed. You draw cards equal to the number of truth votes. Then choose an opponent at random. Truth or Consequences deals 3 damage to that player for each consequence vote. Oh, that's interesting. Then we have a Bigger on the Inside, which is a 5 mana aura, enchanted artifact or land. And enchanted permanent has tap, target player adds 2 mana of any color, any one color. The next spell they cast this turn has Cascade. Cool. Rack and Rebuild for 3 is sorcery that says destroy target artifact or enchantment, mill 5 cards, then you may put a land card from your graveyard onto the battlefield tapped. Flashback 5. And then we have some reprints here. We have an Arcane Signet, we have a Soul Ring, we have Ponder, nice, new Ponder. Think Twice, Preordain, Throes of Chaos, Cultivate, Search for Tomorrow, and then we have some new cards again. Danny Pink. For 4, it's a 4/3 with Mentor, and creatures you control have, whenever 1 or more counters are put on this creature for the first time each turn, draw a card. Then we have Osgood, the Operation Double, for 4 mana 2/2, and when you cast this spell, create a token that's a copy of it, except it isn't legendary. That's the token that we saw. Then if you tap, you can add 1 colorless mana, spend it only to cast an artifact or an ability of an artifact. That is Paradox. When you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, investigate. Twice Upon a Time, for 6 mana, it is a sorcery. Cast a spell only if you control 2 or more Doctors, and take an extra turn after this one. Exile Twice Upon a Time. Or you can play Unlikely Meeting for 3, which is a sorcery, and it says search your library for a Doctor, reveal it, put it in your hand. Then we have Become the Pilot, creepy art. For 5, it's an aura, enchant non-commander creature. You control enchanted creature. Enchanted creature gets +2/+2, can be blocked unless it's attacking its owner or a permanent its owner's control. Oh wow. Interesting. Quantum Misalignment. For 5, it's a sorcery. Create a token that's a copy of target creature you control, except it isn't legendary. And it has Rebound. Then we have Nardole, Resourceful Cyborg. It's a 2 mana 1/2, and if you tap it, you can add blue for each counter on Nardole. Spend it only to cast non-creature spells, and it has Undying, and it can be the Doctor's Companion. There is Flatline, an instant for 3. Creatures your opponent controls have base power and toughness 0/1 until end of turn. Then we have Bill Potts. For 4, it's a 2/4 Doctor's Companion, and it says whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell that targets only Bill Potts or activate an ability that targets only Bill Potts, copy that spell or ability. You may choose new targets for the copy. This ability triggers only once each turn. Into the Time Vortex. For 5, it's a sorcery with Cascade and Rebound. Nice. Dan Lewis, also a Doctor's Companion. For 2, we get a 2/2. And it says non-creature, non-equipment artifacts you control are equipment in addition to their other types, and have equipped creature gets +1/+0. And equip 1. That's interesting. Well, that can be played in quite some nice red decks. I mean, I've reviewed one of those decks. Lupu. Very cool. Don't know how it would matter, but it's nice that it can. A Flaming Tyrannosaurus. For 7, it's a 5/5 menace with Paradox. Whenever you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, Flaming Tyrannosaurus deals 3 damage to any target. Then put a +1/+1 counter on Flaming Tyrannosaurus. When it dies, it deals damage to equal to its power to each opponent. Then we have Ryan Sinclair for 3 mana 2/2, also Doctor's Companion. And it says when it attacks, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land card. You may cast the exiled card without paying its mana cost. If it's a spell with mana value less than or equal to Ryan's power. Put the exiled cards not cast this way on the bottom of your library in a random order. Return the Past. For 6 mana, it's an enchantment. As long as it's your turn, each instant and sorcery card in your graveyard has flashback. Its flashback cost is equal to its mana cost. Impending Flux for 3, it's a sorcery with Paradox. Impending Flux deals X damage to each opponent and each creature they control, where X is 1 plus the number of spells you've cast from anywhere other than your hand this turn. And that's Foretell for 3. Then we have The Flux, which is a saga for 4. We have 6 chapters, and the first one is The Flux deals 4 damage to target creature an opponent controls. And then chapters 2, 3, 4, and 5 say exile the top card of your library. You may play that card this turn. And chapter 6 add 6 red mana. Sisterhood of Karn. For 2, we get a 0/0. When it enters the battlefield, it enters with a +1/+1 counter on it. And for Paradox, you can double the number of +1/+1 counters on it. That's interesting. Nice. Graham O'Brien. For 2, it's a 2/2 Doctor's Companion with Paradox. Whenever you cast a spell from anywhere, I'm just going to skip that part from now on. Paradox, create a food token. Carvanista, the Loyal Lupari, which is a dog soldier. It's a 5 mana, 5/5 Vigilance, Trample, Haste. Whenever it attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on each human you control. Then it has Lupari Shield for 2, it's a sorcery. Humans you control gain indestructible until your next turn. The Foretold Soldier for 4. It's a 6/6 zombie, an alien zombie actually. The Foretold Soldier must be blocked if able. It can't be blocked by more than one creature. Oh, nice. Whenever the Foretold Soldier deals damage, exile it face down. It becomes Foretold. And it has a Foretell for 2. Then we have another saga, Fugitive of the Judoon for 5. It has 3 chapters. The first one is create a 1/1 white human soldier, a human creature token with Ward 2, and a 4/4 white alien rhino creature token. Then chapter 2 is investigate, and chapter 3, you may exile a human you control and an artifact you control. If you do, search your library for a doctor card. Put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. River Song. For 3, it's a 2/2, and it has meat in reverse. You draw cards from the bottom of your deck rather than the top. Oh, that's very cool. And spoilers, whenever an opponent scries, surveys, or searches their library, put a +1/+1 counter on River Song. Then River Song deals damage to that player equal to its power. Nice. Madame Vastra for 4 is a 3/3. Partner with Jenny Flint. And she must be blocked if able. Then whenever a creature deals damage by Madame Vestra, this turn dies, create a clue and a food token. And then we have Jenny Flint, which is basically the back of the card that we just saw. Nice. For 3 mana, 2/2, it partners with Madame Vastra. It has first strike, it has training, and whenever you sacrifice a clue or food, put a +1/+1 counter on another target creature you control. Sweet. Strax, the Sontaran Nurse. For 5, it's a 5/5 Vigilance and Trample, and it has Grenades. For 2, you can tap it, sacrifice an artifact, choose a player at random. When you do, it fights another target creature that player controls. It says a player at random. It could be you as well. That's not so nice. And it does Glory of Battle. Whenever Strax deals damage to a creature, put a +1/+1 counter on Strax. The 12th Doctor, also a doctor that I'm not familiar with. For 5, it's a 4/4, and the first spell you cast from anywhere other than your hand each turn has Demonstrate. And then whenever you copy a spell, put a +1/+1 counter on the 12th Doctor. The Fugitive Doctor. Oh, wow. For 5, it's a 4/4, and when the Fugitive Doctor enters the battlefield, investigate. When it attacks, you may sacrifice a clue. When you do, target instant or sorcery card in your graveyard gains flashback 4 until end of turn. Then we have me, the Immortal. For 5 mana, it's a 3/3. And at the beginning of combat on your turn, put your choice of a +1/+1 First Strike, Vigilance, or Menace counter on Medium Mortal. Counters remain on me as it moves to any zone other than a player's hand or library. Oh, that's nice. You may cast me from the graveyard by discarding 2 cards in addition to paying its other costs. Very interesting card. Very interesting to have as a commander, I think. Frostfair Lurefish. For 7, we have a 7/7. It enters the battlefield, create 2 1/1 blue fish creature tokens and 2 tapped treasure tokens. Fish you control have haste and can't be blocked by humans. It has Foretell 5. Lunar Hatchling. For 6, it's a 6/6 flying trample, basic land cycling 2, and escape for 6. Exile a land you control. Exile 5 other cards from your graveyard. Wow. Heaven Sent, a saga for 2. It has 2 chapters that say investigate. And the third one is Heaven Sent deals 1 damage to each opponent. Then if an opponent has 0 or less life, draw 7 cards. Otherwise, exile Heaven Sent and you may cast it this turn. Last Night Together. For 5, it's a sorcery. Choose 2 target creatures. Untap them. Put 2 +1/+1 counters on each of them. They gain Vigilance, Indestructible, and Haste until the end of turn. After the main phase, there is an additional combat phase. Only the chosen creatures can attack during that combat phase. Wow. River Song's Diary. For 3, we get an artifact with Imprint. So whenever a player casts an instant or sorcery from their hand, exile it instead of putting it into the graveyard as it resolves. Then at the beginning of your upkeep, if there are 4 or more cards exiled with River Song's Diary, choose one of them at random. You may cast it without paying its mana cost. Interesting card. Confession Dial. For 3, it's an artifact that says enters the battlefield, survey 3. Then if you tap it, target legendary creature card in your graveyard gains escape until end of turn. The escape cost is equal to its mana cost plus exile 3 other cards from your graveyard. We have a colorless card here. Clara Oswald. For 6, it's a 2/6. Also a Doctor's Companion. And it has the ability Impossible Girl. If Clara Oswald is your commander, choose a color before the game begins. She is the chosen color. Oh, that's cool. If a triggered ability of a doctor you control triggers, it triggers an additional time. That's interesting. So you can actually create new combinations. We have Chaos Warp, which is a staple in Commander in red. It's a reprint, so I'm not going over it. Cursed Mirror, Carpet of Flowers. We have some lands here. Dreamroot Cascade, Temple of Mystery, Vine Glimmer Snarl. We have a Waterlogged Grove, Desolate Lighthouse, a Rockfall Vale, Rootbound Crag, Temple of Abandon, Cinderglade, Sheltered Thickets, Temple of Epiphany, Frostboil Snarl, Storm-Carved Coast, Fiery Islet, Game Trail, Exotic Orchard, Gallifrey Council Chamber, which is a new card. It's a legendary land. When it enters the battlefield, survey 1. Then tap to add colorless or add 1 mana of any color. Spend this mana only to cast a Time Lord or Alien spell or activate an ability of those. Then we have Farseek, Beast Within, Growth Spiral, Talisman of Curiosity, Talisman of Impulse, Rogue's Passage, a Frontier Bivouac, Reliquary Tower, Myriad Landscape, Temple of the False God, Path of Ancestry, Command Tower, an Ominous Cemetery, which is also a new land. It adds colorless if you tap it, or for 5 and tap. Exile it, then target creature's owner shuffles it into their library. And then, of course, we have some basic lands to...
Wat doe jij nou?
Laat hem vallen. Nou, die knip ik er wel uit.
Ja,
Right. And then we have the basic land cards, 2 for each type, island, mountain, and forest. And then of course we have the collector sample booster pack. 2 cards, yeah, from these decks in maybe a different frame or like a full art. No, wait, a extended art. From the 2 packs that I had, we only pulled extended art. So let's see if we can do something else right now. Yes, finally. The 4th Doctor, which we have seen in one of the other cards. It is a 4 mana 4/4. You may look at the top of your library at any time, and it has would you like a, and that's once each turn you may play a historic land or cast a historic spell from the top of your library. When you do, create a food token. And we have Ensnared by the Mara, which is a 4 mana sorcery. We've also seen this one in another deck. Each opponent faces a villainous choice. They exile cards from the top of their library until they exile a non-land card. Then you may cast that card without paying its mana cost, or that player exiles the top 4 cards of their library and Ensnared by the Mara deals damage equal to the total mana value of those exiled cards to the player. Right. That was a lot of talking again. It's always with these decks. There are a lot of new cards, and that's okay. I like having new, unique cards, but it also means a lot of talking. My throat hurts. There you have it, the 13th Doctor with Yasmin Khan, or the 12th Doctor, whatever you like to play. Yeah, very nice deck. I really like it. I really want to try this out one day as well. Thank you all for watching. Join the Patreon if you haven't done so already. It really helps out the channel, just like these people have done before you. Right, like the video, subscribe, and comment. And see you all next time. Bye-bye.